Hey kids, John here. Going to talk about a calendar. As you start to gig, you're going to need to put dates down. You can put them on your phone, but if your phone dies, that could be problematic. And if it's stolen or lost, you no longer have your calendar anywhere. So you could link it to your computer. That'd be fantastic. I keep an old school analog paper calendar. Works for me because whatever's on the paper is what I'm doing. Now, if you've got a linked calendar, you got to make sure they're reflecting exactly what each has on it, whether it's the computer and the phone or the phone and a paper calendar, whatever your system is. But if you're keeping two calendars and one is a backup, you got to make sure that they're synced together and they show the exact same information. One of the things that could happen here is you could double book a gig. Now, so you've double booked next Saturday. Uh-oh. That could be a problem. So what do? Well, we have to figure out whose gig we're going to throw. Probably the lower paying gig. Now, if they're exactly the same paying gig, you got to figure out who maybe calls you more. Who do you gig for more often? Or who do you enjoy playing with more often? There's a lot of criteria there. Then you call the band leader and explain, hey, I'm really sorry. I double booked on you. My bad. There's been a mix-up on my calendar. This was my mistake. Do you want me to find a sub or do you have a list that you want to go down? If they say, I've got a list, you let them have it. If they say, go ahead and get a sub, now you need to get them a good sub. So, you don't necessarily want to get them a player that's worse than you. Okay? You want to try and find a player that's as good or better or more experienced, whatever the case may be, but you want to get a good player. If you send a good player, they're going to appreciate it and they'll call you back because you didn't completely flake out on them. Bad idea. So having a sub list is a great idea. So as you start to break into a scene, you need to get everybody's name that you play with. And you need to find out from them what their sub list is. So if you get stuck, you call one of the players you know is busy in town and you say, hey, I got a gig I got to throw. Do you know anybody that would like it? And they're going to give you some names. You keep those names in your phone and now you start to build a sub list. So access the players you already know. They'll give you names of guys. If you run into a problem, one of the guys that you already called may have his own list or her own list. So you start to expand your list by asking the players you've called, well, do you know of anybody? Okay? It will work. You will find somebody at some point to sub that gig. Now, another thing that can happen, you get a call. And it's for a gig that pays 3 times as much as the gig you already have. Immediately you're saying, great, I'm doing it. There are things to consider. I think it's great to do that and take the better paying gig. It's probably a good gig, probably actually is easier. That's what I've found. The better gigs that pay more money are actually easier to do, typically. But you may have to throw a gig, and that could be a call that you get quite often from a band leader you like working with. So you're going to have to weigh that. Is this one gig worth jeopardizing a steady call from a band leader I like? So there's criteria there. Think before you take the gig. What are the consequences long term for taking this short term gain? All right? Always think long term and you'll be fine. Now, when you get a call, find out where the gig is, obviously. Now, some guys don't know where the gig is. They know the name of the club or they know the name of the hotel or whatever. They don't know the address. Get the name, find out where it is. Ask, where's the gig? What time do we hit? And sometimes there's a call time, which means you got to get in, get set up, and then get out of the way, and then you come back and start the gig. So some of these gigs you're going to get a call time to set up. Don't ignore that. That's important to the band leader because it makes him look professional when the band is set up and ready to go. They're nowhere to be seen, and then when they hit, they walk on stage and they hit. So a setup or setup sound check can be very important to you keeping the gig and not looking like a flake. But a lot of times there's just a hit time. Be sure you're early and set up and ready to go, prepared for the gig. So, where are we playing? What time? What do I wear? If you show up in the wrong clothes or clothes that just aren't up to a standard, you could be considered a flake and they may not call you back. So remember, how you dress is important typically to getting called back. Looking professional is a great idea. All right, so where's my gig? What time does it hit? What do I wear? And finally, what do I need to bring? Okay, it could be anywhere from several instruments and a music stand and stand light and some music that you're expected to bring with you. Get all of the information. Hey, what do I need? Once you've been doing gigs for a while, you're going to start to understand what to bring automatically. But as you're learning this, don't make the mistake of showing up and not having what you need because you didn't ask the question. Always ask the question. You finally can ask, because sometimes band leaders don't even offer it because they forget that you're a new guy and they don't tell you how much it pays. So, what time? Sorry. Where's the gig? What time? What do I wear? What do I need to bring? And how much does it pay? Okay? Typically, guys put how much does it pay first. But if you're trying to break into the scene, you might want to wait till it's kind of at the end. And if it turns out that the gig only pays $40, you may have to say, man, that's a long way for me to go for $40. Can you give me 60 because I'm going to spend too much in gas getting there and back? Whatever. You can negotiate at that point. But remember, if you don't ask how much it paid, you may not even get paid. So be sure you figure out how much the gig pays. All right. So now, we got a place to be at a certain time. Remember traffic. Now, not only remember traffic, remember day of the week. What's the traffic pattern? Do I pass by a sports arena or a large concert venue, what have you? If you live in a major city, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't live in a major city and you start to work in a major city, you need to figure out where the sports arenas are and take a look at the schedule. Because if it's a Sunday afternoon during football season and you've got to go by a football stadium at just a little bit before game time, there might be extra traffic. Always remember, big sporting events in large cities tend to screw up traffic at choke points. And that choke point is a choke point because there are people merging and splitting and going different directions there. And that could be you trying to get to your gig. So there's more to consider than it's an hour away or you mapped it and it says it takes 45 minutes. And now all of a sudden it takes an hour and 25 minutes and you are late. So consider your traffic, understand your traffic patterns, understand your choke points, and understand large venues that may be happening on your way to the gig. Okay? So there it is. You've got a calendar. If you have it two places, they sync up together and they match each other. You've got a sub list. So in case you have to throw a gig or sub out of a gig, you can get a sub for the gig. Make sure the sub can play. Don't want to upset a band leader because you sent somebody that can't play. Or he might even be a good player, but he can't play the style. That's important too. Okay? Always ask, where are we playing? What time do we hit? What do I wear? What do I bring? And how much does it pay? Okay? So there it is. If you keep your calendar straight, you show up in what you're supposed to be wearing, have the right gear, have the right clothes on, and play well, you're going to have good success and you're going to get a reputation of being a solid guy, a good player, and you will get called back. Remember to network, talk to the people you're playing with, get their number, call them once in a while, keep in contact with them. It helps. All right, till next time, kids, take it easy.